We are live. Good evening, everyone. I am Reverend Sherri James, Senior Minister for Understanding Principles for Better Living Church, and I am excited to be here with you. I am just looking forward to tonight. This book just gets gooder and gooder, which is something Reverend Della would say. It just gets gooder and gooder and gooder. And I'm really excited to share with you tonight because I think that this is going to touch on some things that really that matter for you. Let's separate this. Hold on, still getting still getting everything in order. Make sure I can see comments. There we go. All right, guys. Okay. So the question tonight is, are you good soil? Are you good soil? And we're wrapping up chapter 3 in Laws of Life. This is the last part where he begins to talk about Jesus and the law. And the question to keep at the forefront of your mind is, are you good soil? And so just to that effect, I'd actually like to kind of take a pulse and ask you to kind of rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. If you had to think about, rate yourself, right? So 10 being excellent, 1 being an indication that there's a strong need for improvement. How do you rate yourself? Are you good soil? That's the question tonight. Are you good soil? Where would you put yourself? And I would say, now mind you, I've prepared the lesson. I would put myself probably somewhere between like a 6.5 and a 7. But are you good soil? 30 seconds. Are you good soil? Where would you rate yourself? Zelene says 7, Ray says 7, Olga says 7. Where would you rate yourself? 20 seconds. Andrea says 6. Joe says 4. Got it. 10 seconds. Quintina 7, can always do better. Beverly 6. Yes. Got it. Okay. So keep that in mind. Hold that thought. So I've got a couple of announcements. Opening prayer. We're going to talk about why universal law matters for you. We're going to look at the parable of the sower, and we're going to talk about what kind of ground have you cultivated. Many of us know the parable of the sower. We've probably heard it all our lives. It's one of the most popular parables that, to be taught or shared. So this is going to be familiar in that sense, but hopefully introduce some new things for you to think about. Know your why. Well, let me tell you why, because this was the day. So I need to give this caveat. My purpose in life is to wake up as many people as possible to their innate divinity and to inspire them to live from it. And when I tell you today was the day, I woke up at 4. I had things on my plate. I woke up at 4 intentionally. I plan to get up and do work on the blog post, also some work on my sermon notes for Sunday. And all of a sudden I feel this little hot body next to me, like curled up under me, like burrowed under me. And it took a minute to like orient myself. And I was like, is there like a heating blanket on? Like, what the heck? And it hit me, oh no, that's Jordan. And then it like registered, wait a minute, he's too hot. And it turned out he had a fever of 103.4. So, I immediately swing out of the bed, I'm jumping to action, and get some aspirin, take his temperature, get some aspirin, and it breaks it just a little bit, right? But now he can't go back to sleep. He's up, so he wants to play. This is supposed to be my writing time. I'm supposed to be writing, like getting my work done. And when I tell you it was one thing after another, he didn't get better today. He's actually upstairs asleep tonight. When I tell you, you have to know your why. Because if without that commitment, it would have been like, you know what, guys, I'm sorry, we can't have the Bible hangout tonight. This is a no matter what for me. And so literally the day is organized. so that I can be there for him, not take anything away from him, but then be there for you. And I believe in this so much. This teaching has made such a huge difference in my life that it means that much to me. Even when we go to Jamaica, I'll be right here on the air broadcasting from Jamaica. And so I encourage you to know your why. Why do you do what you do? And what is it that you have in your life that's a no matter what? That no matter what goes down, people can depend on you. And I think that to have a satisfying life, you have to have something like that. And so this is why I showed up today, even with everything that went on. I don't have my camera, none of the things that I would have had, the camera equipment and all of that, because I was home today. I didn't go into the church. So, so yeah, know your why. Ray says, I need to study like I need air. Can't live without it. Yes, I need, oh, thank you. Yes. I need to study like I need air. Can't live without it. And that's why. That's why. So please know that I love you, and I'm trying to show you as best I know with my actions, and I'm grateful that you're here. So thank you. I do want to encourage you to support the Bible Hangout, not because Jordan is sick, but because this is about an exchange. And if this has touched you, if this has helped you, help me take this around the world. Help me let other people know about that. And the only way to do that is with resources. You can make a donation right at revsherri.com. And I thank you in advance for your support. A gift of any size is deeply appreciated. And thank you, thank you, thank you. So the way that this series works, there's a blog. Today's blog went out real late because of the way the day flowed. There's the Bible Hangout, and then there is the Universal Law Library. And I am working with you guys. It's a user-generated library. It's free. And we're building the largest curated place where you can find information on universal law. Right now, if you want to find anything on universal law, you kind of got to do a Google search. You got to, go to YouTube and Facebook and, all kinds of other channels. And so over time, we're just gathering information and depositing it in one place where anybody anywhere in the world can access for free. So if you find some things on universal law that you like, please feel free to suggest them, and we would be happy to include them in the Universal Law Library. My book is out, available on Kindle and print on demand. I'm of course I want you to grab a copy, but I also want you to consider leaving a review on Amazon.com. I'm in the process of developing the larger nationwide or international launch, and those early reviews will be very important for people to understand the book and whether or not it's for them. And I recognize that everything is not for everyone, so your review is going to help someone like you know whether or not this is a book that they can sink their teeth into. And so I thank you in advance for a review on Amazon.com. The scripture for this series is, do not think that I have come to abolish the law. I have come not to abolish, but to fulfill. And we have been studying the laws of universal law, but the laws of increase, and specifically the first law that, what kind of seed are you sowing? The second law of increase, how are you sowing it? In what spirit are you putting that seed in the soil? And today what we're going to touch on is what kind of soil are you? Because you're the soil, right? And so this is about fulfilling the law, that we are aiming to do what Jesus encouraged us to do, which is to fulfill the law. Do not think that I have come to abolish the law. I have come not to abolish, but to fulfill. And so that is our purpose with this series. How do we show up like Jesus and participate, cooperate with universal law? And so let's just take a moment to just relax and be in this moment. This is an opportunity that we have to grow, to develop, to stretch, to get some new information. And so I'm asking the Spirit for the wisdom, the guidance, to share this information. I ask for engagement because I know that learning is an active process. And I'm interested in this information sticking with you so that you can use it and improve your life. And so I'm asking God for whatever miracle needs to be worked in order for that to be the case. In order for that to be the case. And so I ask that any personal agenda in me, known or unknown, conscious or unconscious, be removed so that the Spirit may speak. Lives may be touched, consciousness transformed, and growth happens. And I thank you, God, because I know that every prayer is answered. And so I release it now, and I trust that all shall be well. In the name and nature of Jesus the Christ, I affirm that this prayer is so, and so it is. So, why universal law matters for you? We revisit this question. This is the one question we revisit every week through the entire series. So we'll keep coming back to this. And this, when I was preparing this lesson, it occurred to me, and I love the way that Bruce McArthur set up the chapter. It occurred to me that even as an advanced spiritual student, we need reminders that the law is always working. And I'm calling all of you advanced spiritual students. And what I mean by that is that tends to be who I attract. I teach in such a way that people who are beginning in this teaching don't often find me. And so, you know, you are someone who is serious about your spiritual study. You've done the work. You're conscious, right? And so even as an advanced student, we need reminders that the law is always working. Something is always being created. Seeds are always being sown. Something is always being noticed. And why that matters, you begin the day with literally 40 to 60,000 seeds in the form of thoughts. By the end of the day, you have created something. It hasn't harvested, but you've set up a garden that is on its way back to you. So your seeds are always being sown. Something is always being noticed. One of the things that Jesus taught us is that Matthew 5:14, that we are to be the light of the world. The light in you is controlled by your attention. The light in you is controlled by your attention, which means that you flow the energy of God in you into forms according to what you pay attention to. And it never turns off. Even when your eyes are closed, something is being noticed. Even when your eyes are closed, something is being noticed. And what you notice, you combine with. What you notice, you combine with. And so we always have to be mindful of what has my attention, because I'm flowing the power of God to that by law, and I'm magnifying it, whether I'm consciously aware of it or not. And sometimes as spiritual students, you know, we're on the path, and we can become blind to the ways that that we're creating our own experience. Meaning, we know we create our own experience. That's no longer that issue is settled for us, right? It's not, do I create my own experience? Yeah, I create my own experience. Wow, what made me bring that to me, right? But we can be blind to the seed that was sown that set up the experience that we are in. And so this universal law matters because it's just to remember that something is always being created, and to become mindful of each moment, to say, what am I creating in this moment? What am I establishing? Something is always being established. It's in Job, I think 22:28, where it says, thou shalt decree a thing, right? And so you read that verse, and the idea is like, well, when I decree, but baby, you're always decreeing. There's never a moment in time where you are not decreeing something. Decrees are happening all the time, right? Seeds are being sown all the time. It is a perpetual, ceaseless activity. So the universal law matters, and why it matters to us is because we're always creating something. We're always in the lab. We're always in the lab. Did you know that you are the sower? Now, the parable of the sower, I'm going to share that parable with you guys. It's in the 13th chapter of Matthew. And it says, listen, a sower went out to sow. As he sowed, some seeds fell on the path, and the birds came and ate them up. Other seeds fell on rocky ground where they did not have much soil, and they sprang up quickly since they had no depth of soil. But when the sun rose, they were scorched. And since they had no root, they withered. Other seeds fell among thorns, and the thorns grew up and choked them. Other seeds fell on good soil and brought forth grain, some 100-fold, some 60, some 30. Then a little bit later, Jesus explains, hear then the parable of the sower. When anyone hears the word of the kingdom and does not understand it, the evil one comes and snatches away what is sown in the heart. This what was sown on the path. This is what was sown on the path. As for what was sown on rocky ground, this is the one who hears the word and immediately receives it with joy. Yet such a person has no root, but endures only for a while, and when trouble or persecution arises on account of the word, that person immediately falls away. As for what was sown among thorns, this is the one who hears the word, but the cares of the world and the lures of wealth choke the word, and it yields nothing. But as for what was sown on good soil, this is the one who hears the word. This is the one who hears the word and understands it, who indeed bears fruit and yields, in one case 100-fold, in another 60, and in another 30. When I have been taught that parable, I always read it with the understanding that God is the sower and I'm the soil, standing in the receipt, right, of the seed being sown. But being a serious spiritual student, I never put myself in the place of the one where the seed was dropping on the footpath, or the seed was dropping on rocky ground, or the seed was good soil. I only put myself in the category of good soil, and not from any kind of like arrogant, oh, you think you're all that, but just from, I know I'm serious about my walk. I know I'm serious about my walk. And so this parable has deeper meaning for those of us that are serious spiritual students. And the question that we have to, or the way that we have to begin to look at this is to think differently about who we are spiritually and how we're showing up. Because sometimes we can be on the path, giving good things, and still be the footpath, or still be the rocky ground, or still be the life that's full of thistles. The command is, you are the light of the world. That's Matthew 5:14. That's what we are encouraged to do, is to be the light of the world. And so if you had to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you put yourself as being the light of the world? 10 being excellent, 1 being, we need some improvement up in here. Where would you find yourself? How would you rate yourself as being the light of the world? And, I feel like I'm at a little bit of an advantage because I obviously prepared the lesson. I'm going to have to keep it at that between 6 and 7. Yvonne says 5, Olga says 6. Where would you put yourself as being the light of the world? Andrea says 6. Constance says 7.5. Ray says 7. Zaleen 7. Cool, 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 cool. So I want to talk about the footpath, right? I want to talk about the footpath, and I want to look at what it means to be that consciousness. Like I said, when I previously considered this parable, the footpath, the rocky ground, the shallow, I always thought of those as people who were not actively working on their spiritual development, or maybe they just weren't yet committed to their spiritual growth and expansion. Maybe they weren't necessarily not working on it, but they hadn't yet reached a level of where there was a sense of urgency about the development. And I don't know if you thought about it this way, but it talks with this parable. But the way that Bruce talked about it, he is addressing people like us, people who are actively developing themselves. And this is what he says about the footpath for people like you and me. I often find myself in this position when I have too many books to read, or lectures to attend, or trips to take, or other things to do. My life then is like the footpath because I allow unimportant activities to take my time and energy, leaving nothing for the seeds of the Spirit which have been sown. Those of us who serve others must make sure that our days are not so packed with lesson planning and teaching and speaking and counseling that we don't have time to nurture ourselves. There has to be something left of us for the seeds of the Spirit that have been sown. When we have overextended ourselves in this way, the soil of our lives is like the footpath. The seeds fall on it, but all the things that we're doing for other people eat up the seed. So it never gets the chance to get in the ground of our lives and become something. There are countless stories of people who just get burnt out in the work that we do. The kind of work that we do, as a pastor, people think that you just get up on Sunday and give a good sermon. They don't see all the stuff that goes on during the week, the people that pull on you, that call and they say, I just need a few minutes. Well, after 30 people who just need a few minutes, you need a few minutes. It pulls you in so many different directions. And so you have to prioritize the time to nurture yourself. You cannot be spread so thin that there is no room for the seed to get into the soil. The thing about seeds is that seeds don't grow until they get in the soil. Seeds do not grow until they get in outside the soil. They just sit on top of the soil. The part of the growth process is that it's got to get in the soil. But if you are stretched so thin, nothing can get in the ground. If you are stretched so thin, nothing can get in the ground. And so that's why this lesson is so powerful for advanced spiritual students. Not that, is more enlightened or anything like that, but it's just that you have a deeper commitment than somebody who's just a casual spiritual student. I know about people who are, they've got a daily discipline. They are, they consistently pray. They're serious about their walk. This is not we're past the point of this being a game, right? That sometimes we can be so busy in the doing that we never take time to just be. And so we have to be mindful of that so that we don't become like the footpath. And again, I never would have called myself the footpath, not for the way I study. If you find me reading some type of spiritual literature. If you find me doing some type of spiritual study. If you find me, I usually got something on YouTube where I'm, listening to a sermon or listening to some kind of personal development, right? If you find me, that's what you're going to find me with. So I would not have thought of myself as the footpath until he said, but if you're stretched so thin that the seeds can't get in, I said, oh, maybe you got a point there, Bruce. maybe, I hear you. I hear you. And so you got to make time for you. And I wrote this, and I said you need to ramp up. This is really my message to myself, right? Because the thing is that people like us, self-care is, I won't say it's a low priority, but I'm gonna say we don't do enough. So my suggestion is you ramp up your level of self-care until it makes you uncomfortable to give to yourself at that level, and then take it up a little higher. Ramp up your self-care. So at what level would you have to give to yourself where it would make you uncomfortable that you are giving to yourself at that level? Like what would you have to do? Would you have to like take 2 vacations in 1 year? Would that make you uncomfortable? It would wig me out. Every vacation. So here, confession session. Every vacation I take is tied to work, which means it's not a vacation. I cannot tell you the last vacation. So I'm saying ramp up your level of self-care to where it makes you uncomfortable, and then add a little more. Ramp it up where it makes you uncomfortable, and then add a little more. Beverly says, seems that you must be consciously aware of the need to feed your spirit in order for it to happen. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You got to be consciously aware. And again, pastors leave the ministry, but all of us are in some type of ministry, whether we're teachers or nurses or coaches or healers or, right? So it's not just pastoring. That's the role I sit in, but you guys all sit in that because those are the types of people that I tend to attract as in a classroom setting. So you're also in the role of some level of caregiver in some way. And the nature of people in this sphere is that because we love giving, that we prioritize giving to others over giving to ourselves. And there has to be that balance. Olga says 3 vacations. Girl, that ain't even on my bucket list. I mean, it might need to be, but that ain't even on my bucket list. Three vacations? I would feel like I'm cheating at life. Like, you know what? They would have to be mini vacations, like 1-day vacations. Then I could say, oh yeah, I took 3 vacations this year. I mean, seriously. So, yeah, ramp it up and then add a little more. So the rocky ground. This is what he says about the rocky ground. Because again, I didn't think of myself as rocky ground. He says the rocky ground occurs in my life. He's writing about himself. The rocky ground occurs in my life when, though I may be enthusiastic to apply new truth in my life, I fail to make the commitment or discipline myself to study, to work with, and to follow through. In other words, there is no depth to the soil in which I have sown this seed. Therefore, there is no growth. You've got to make it easy for God to grow you. You've got to make it easy for God to grow you. And sometimes when we don't see growth, that the reason might be that we're rocky ground. Because there has to be this level of discipline and consistency that you got to implement in your life to begin to see results you believe you should have. Again, I would not have thought of myself as rocky ground. But how many times have I been to some seminar, gotten excited about what I heard, and made no plan to actually execute what I heard? I'm going to tell you something I did. This is confession session. So one of the things that I did this year differently, and it's probably, I have a friend who's been a huge influence, so kudos to him for influencing me. But I have always set goals, but I would definitely say I'm a goal setter. But for the first time, in a real way, I've looked back before, but not in the way that I did this time. This past weekend, the last the last 7 days, I made time to actually look back at my goals for the top of the year and to assess where I am and to retool. Now, I call myself a goal setter, right? most often what's happened, even if I'm like consciously aware of my goals throughout the year, there's not a moment to like a dedicated moment, deliberate and intentional, to sit and retool and think about where I am and actually say where I think I can be at the end of the year. Mostly what happens is I get to the end of the year and it's some things I check off my list because it just happens, and then other things don't happen. And it's like, okay, I didn't make that a priority. But just to take the time now to say, is this, I put this on the list, and I found some things like I put this on the list. This was a priority, but I ain't got no plan to back it up. No wonder I'm at July and it hasn't worked out. You got to make it easy for God to grow you. When you make a goal, then you've got to sit and say, okay, at a certain point of 90 days or 120 days or 180 days, where am I? And where can I be in the next 180 days? Can I get to where I believe where I said I wanted to be when I started this thing in July, right? Because that rocky ground is, I'm excited about this. This is something that I really want, but I haven't prioritized my life in such a way where it can actually come about. And I don't have any check-in point in my life or any check-in system in my life where I can look at the things that I say are important and analyze where I am in the process. Again, I wouldn't have called myself rocky ground. But I think as a committed spiritual student, I shouldn't say advanced, because somebody might hear this and say, oh, you think you're enlightened. As a committed spiritual student, I wouldn't have put myself in that category. But we are rocky ground when we get excited about something, but we make no plan and establish no discipline in order for it to come about. And so the remedy for this is that we have to hold ourselves accountable. No excuses. We must hold ourselves accountable. Success is found in your daily discipline. Success is found in your daily discipline. You become what you do every day. Life is only a mystery because we are not mindful. Life is only a mystery because we are not mindful. If we would pay attention to what we do every day, it would no longer surprise us where we end up in 3 months, in 6 months, in 9 months, in 12 months, in 5 years. It would no longer surprise us because we become what we do every day. When people disappoint us in our lives, spouses disappoint us, family members let us down, we don't have to be surprised. If you go back to that daily discipline, your evidence is right there. You bring in exhibit A, B through Z, right? There's no surprise at all because success is found in the daily discipline. If you're choosing a mate, what is his daily discipline? What is her daily discipline? Success is found in it. So, but this is about us, not about somebody else. Hold yourself accountable. Hold yourself accountable. What you do every day points you in a particular direction, and every day is a footstep in the direction that you are pointed. And there's never a time where you're not pointed in a direction. And so it is to be mindful of what you say is important to you, and then put a real plan in place to get there. The thistles of life. This was a good one. The thistles of life. Keep the thistles of life in perspective. This is what McArthur says. He says, the thistles in my life, as the parable indicates, are the worldly cares about job, family, home, and health. All are valid concerns, but they become thistles if I allow them to choke out the seeds of the Spirit. a false glamour of wealth are the ones that grow when we let desire for money, position, or power deprive us of time for nourishment of the seeds of the Spirit. Spiritual entrepreneurs have to make self-care a much higher priority. In addition to the daily spiritual work that you do to nourish yourself, you need regular time away to just be. And the thing is, the key is really balance, right? So there's a book, and I mentioned it in the blog post, that even mystics have bills to pay. And you're walking this line as a healer, as a giver, as a nurturer, where you are sharing with the world, right? You are giving to other people. But at the same time, you've got bills to pay. And so I'll speak from my experience, that it has been challenging to just receive what is rightfully due to me because I'm sowing good seed, but just to be comfortable receiving and to not feel uncomfortable because your needs have to be met. And so I find that often people in our roles as a spiritual entrepreneur tend to focus too heavily in either direction. Either they're only focused on the serving people, and there's no attention to cultivating themselves as receivers so that they can have what they need to live, to eat, right? Or they're on the other end, and you feel it. You feel it when you go to their seminars, and it's all about the money. You walk in the door, it's like, oh, okay, this is about money. I mean, you may be giving me some good information, but this is really about lining your pockets, right? And the key is balance. The key is balance, because even mystics have bills to pay. And one of the things that can help you create that balance is to make joy an important, indispensable part of your life. And I'll tell you a funny story. So, and I'll explain, because Kevin Ponder calls joy one of our success powers. So I grew up in church, and in church they used to talk about the unspeakable joy, and they would sing about the unspeakable joy. Typo in my little slide, but unspeakable joy, it turns out, doesn't just happen. It's cultivated, right? And you have to cultivate it. And I remember the day that it hit me. I was sitting at the light at San Vicente and Wilshire, getting ready to make a left turn going towards UCLA. And I think we were studying Catherine Ponder and Reverend Della's class. And it hit me. It was like, girl, the only joy that's coming is the joy that you cultivate. That if you, because if I was honest, I would say, I was waiting for unspeakable joy to hit me. That one day it was just going to land on me like a rocket ship, like a meteor or something. And it hit me while I'm sitting at the stoplight. The only joy that's coming is the joy that you have cultivated. They cast your bread upon the waters. The only thing coming back is what you have developed. And so you must when you're in abundance is our natural state. And when you cultivate joy, you free yourself to make choices that automatically invite your abundance as a living expression. Everything in this universe is self-healing. When you cut your hand, immediately your hand begins to heal itself. Well, that's a principle. And that principle repeats across your entire life. Provided you don't pick the scab of wherever you cut yourself, the healing will happen. It'll happen so good. I mean, I have cut my hand so much, either chopping really fast or a paper cut or whatever. And to look at my hand today, I wouldn't even be able to find the paper cuts or the cuts from that I was chopping and not paying attention. That it will heal so seamlessly that you won't be able to even find the cut where you hurt yourself. That principle repeats across all of life, provided that we don't pick the scab. The way that we pick the scab emotionally, worry, doubt, fear, anxiety, skepticism, negativity, wrong thoughts, things that disagree with God. And so the healing that could happen in your money can't happen because you're constantly picking the scab. The healing that could happen in your marriage but won't happen because you're constantly picking the scab. The healing that could happen in your health won't happen because you're constantly picking the scab through fear, whatever is the way that you're picking the scab. Joy frees you up. That's why they talk about laughter is good medicine. That joy frees you up. It for that moment that you're in a state of joy, you're not picking the scab. And when you're not picking the scab, the healing begins to happen. It's automatic. You don't have to make the healing happen. You allow it to happen. And joy is a way that you can remove your attention from what has it and give it to that which is healing and restorative to you. And so don't be like I was, waiting for unspeakable joy to just come down, rain down on you from the clouds. You need to know what makes you happy. You need to know the ways that you find joy. Is it reading books? Is it spending time with friends? Is it walking in nature? Is it swimming? Is it hiking? Is it just sitting quietly on your back porch? How do you cultivate joy? And can you build something into your everyday that nurtures and invites that joy so that you may stop picking the scabs of your life and begin to heal and move into the overflow? Oh, I missed some comments. Phyllis says, hanging with you each week has prepared me to receive the seeds you are sowing. I am discovering my life purpose, and you are one of the 10 people that I admire and your qualities. Yay! Thank you. Empowerment, motivation. These qualities have been sown and producing great fruit. Beverly says, I love the analogy of not picking the scab. Yes, yes. Because listen, Jordan, right? So Jordan had a cut on his knee that lasted forever because he picked the scab. And it wouldn't heal. And I taped it down, put a Band-Aid over it, wrapped his leg like a mummy, and he still somehow managed to get it off and dig up the sore. And that's what we do in our lives. That's what we do. Stuff could heal if we would just leave it alone. If we would leave it alone. Some of us are in need of some deep emotional triage because we need a nurse. We need some penicillin. We need some antiseptic. And the thing is that it would heal. There's a great book. It is oh God. This is called Emotional Trauma. Okay. I'm blanking on the book. He has a French name. I just messed it up. Guy Winch or something like that. I'll look it up. But anyway, the book is on emotional healing, and that a little kid, Jordan, at 3, knows that if I get a cut, Mama, I need a Band-Aid. And within a certain scope, he can administer first aid, emotional first aid. That's what it's called. It's called emotional first aid. And excellent book, excellent book. That he's a researcher, and one of the things he talks about is that a kid as young as Jordan knows what to do for a cut. He could go to the bathroom, get the Band-Aid. He may not have the fine motor skills to open it and put it on himself properly, but he knows what to do. And what the author of Emotional First Aid is saying is that we have some emotional needs that are like minor scrapes and cuts and burns that don't need a professional, but because we have no idea how to heal them, and we don't make any priority for healing them, that by the time we address them, they are gaping, pussy sores. And that was an awful word picture, but you get it. Okay. That we need some emotional first aid, that we need to know how to handle rejection. That often what happens is that we get, I know, thank you, Beverly, yes, that we get rejected. We don't know how to process it emotionally. But by the time we deal with it, it's not about the job that we were fired from, or the relationship that someone walked out on us, or that by the time we deal with it, we don't just need emotional triage. We really need to be hospitalized. And there's so many places in our lives that if we had some basic, fundamental emotional first aid, that there's some things that we can do to basically care for ourselves. And but yeah, Guy is his first name. I think it's Wench, W-E-N-C-H, but Emotional First Aid is the name of the book. Excellent, excellent book. So good soil. This is what McArthur says about good soil. He says that the good soil, Jesus says, is the life of a person who hears the word, meaning that they're awake and listening for truth, and understands it, meaning that they give it priority and apply it. To do that, the person keeps life in balance so that other aspects do not devour, nor choke out, nor destroy the seeds of truth. Since there always seems to be more to do than we have time for, such a life requires assigning value to what we consider important and eliminating those items of lower value. At the very least, it requires giving precedence to and adhering to specific periods for each day for work on our spiritual path, or for spiritual growth. What I appreciate about New Thought, truly, truly, truly appreciate about New Thought, and I'm saying this as somebody who was raised in the Southern Baptist tradition. Ain't nobody got no issue with you going to the club. Ain't nobody got no issue with you having a drink. Clearly, women can preach. That's a settled question. Ain't nobody's arguing about that. I think that's what made me embrace it so much, that there weren't all of these ways that you were being forced to be pious that weren't true to how you live life. And so you could have a life. And part of being good soil, part of being able to relate to people, is to develop yourself. You've got to keep yourself together. One of my classmates from seminary, he goes dancing once a week at the club. He goes dancing once a week, and he's a great dancer. When we were in seminary, we went down the South Beach. My school was in Miami. We went down the South Beach because he has to go dancing once a week. Because his whole thing, I won't get his words right. But he is into healthy, holistic. He has like a little cat. He does catchy phrases. Healthy, holistic, something living, right? And dancing is one of the ways that you move the spirit. That I know when I dance, I feel free. I feel joy, right? That it is that good soil is about doing the things that stir up the gift inside of you. And it's not about overindulgence or whatever, but again, it's still, having a life. And so I appreciate that. But even in this work, even on this side of the equation, New Thought versus, say, fundamentalism, there has to be a commitment to balancing life, to not being so focused on that you need or getting the resources that you need to live, to not be so focused on overgiving to the people that you serve, or overgiving to yourself. It's that there is this balance, and And spiritual mastery is about finding that system for yourself, finding that system that allows you to stay in a space where you are the inlet for all of God, but also being the outlet for God. So the question to ask yourself is, are you good soil? And here's a question to help you answer that question. Are you stretched to your limit, or can you handle more? Are you stretched to your limit, or can you handle more? There is a video, and I meant to post it on the blog post. Chalene Johnson gives this great exercise to see where you are on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being excellent, 1 indicating a strong need for improvement. And she asks you to rate yourself in 10 different areas of life. She wants you to say, where are you in terms of your physical health, your mental wellness, quality of your surroundings, things you do for pure joy, your romance, key friendships and family relationships, financial situation, living out your calling or your purpose, your spirituality and your personal growth. Where are you on that, right? Because good soil is about cultivating a life of balance. And the thing that I thought was a key question that she asked was, if I give you one more thing, will it be the straw that broke the camel's back? Thank you, Beverly. Beverly, it says Guy Winch, W-I-N-C-H. If I give you one more thing, will that be the straw that broke the camel's back? Think about that. If I give you one more thing, will that be the straw that broke the camel's back? Because that will give you whether or not you're in a space of being good soil. Can you handle one more thing? Or are you at the place where there is so much on your plate that one more thing would just set you off? That's the question. That's the work. Oh, Quintina says, when we do not allow the healing, we become infected spiritually and emotionally. Yes, that's a great word picture too. Can you handle one more thing? And so that to just sit with that question yourself, and then to say, okay, if the answer is no, what do I need to say no to so that I'm not stretched so much? Who needs a no, or what needs a no? Because something needs a no. Something needs a no. If somebody gave me one more thing, that would be the thing that I would just go off. Then where's I've got some no's that I need to be handing out. Excuse me. I have some no's that I need to be handing out, and I need to hand them out quickly because I don't want a life where I can't add one more thing. I don't want to be that stretched in. I'm trying. There has to be something. I want to make it easy for God to grow me. Right? I want these seeds that I'm sowing to get in the ground. Oh, that was my shout out question. So scale of 1 to 10, where would you rate yourself? What would happen if one more thing was added to your plate? Were you at 10, like, yeah, I can handle one more thing, or 1, like, girl, don't you come at me with nothing else? But where are you at on a scale of 1 to 10? 10 is, yeah, I can do something else. Or 1 is, I will fight you if you hand me one more thing. I will straight up fight you. Quintina says no is a complete sentence. This sure is. Quintina says a 5. Quintina, I'm probably right where you are. If I'm being honest, I might be a little bit lower. Where are you on a scale of 1 to 10? 10 is, yeah, I can handle something else. And 1 is, don't even look this way. Olga says 3. All right, Victoria says 8. Go ahead, girl. Beverly says 9. All right. Somebody's got a good life. All right. Constance says 8. I can do something else. I don't think I stretched myself enough. Joe says 7. Yvonne says 7. Yes. Ray says 7. Cool. Phyllis says 1. Me too, Phyllis. Don't. Ah, yes, yes, yes. So here's the thing. We're gonna run the soil test. All right, that's what this next piece is, and this is a challenge, and it's a 30-day challenge. If you guys are willing to take it, I can set up a group on Facebook, and we can take the 30-day challenge. All right, this is the soil test, right? Oh, Beverly says, but I always think that I can do more. No, Beverly, I'd be fighting somebody. I'd be fighting out in the street fighting. So he said this. He said, as a practical exercise and a test of the kind of soil your life is, do a good deed for someone each day. Make a commitment to yourself to do it consistently over a reasonable period of time and keep a written record. If you can do it consistently, you have good soil. If you cannot do it consistently, you need to eliminate the footpaths, rocky ground, and the thistles until you develop good soil. So unrelated to this book, I actually tried something like this last year. I had read Jeff Olson's The Slight Edge. Great book, The Slight Edge. Excellent, excellent, excellent book. Yes, Beverly, not including your work, yes. So Jeff Olson's The Slight Edge, there were other daily disciplines, but these were the 3 that weren't in my things. I listed those. He recommended a few daily disciplines. One was write down 3 things that you're grateful for, journal 2 minutes each day about a positive event from the day before, and 3, complete 1 random act of kindness for someone each day. There were 2 other things that I was already doing. I think it was meditation and personal development reading, right? So there were 5, but these are the 3 that I'm talking about right now. So it was, again, write down 3 things you're grateful for, journal 2 minutes each day about a positive event from the day before, and complete 1 random act of kindness for someone each day. It's been about a year since I read that book. Only 2 of the recommended discipline stuff. Now, like I said, he had 2 others, which was meditation and personal development reading. I was already doing that. So there are 5 total. I keep a gratitude journal every day. I write down 3 things every day, sometimes more, but 3 things every day, no matter what I'm grateful for. And then I set a timer for 2 minutes, spend 2 minutes each day writing a positive event from the day before. Doing a good deed every day proved to be much harder than I thought. I would forget to do it. I'd get to the end of the day and run out of time. And most times I couldn't think of what to do. And eventually, I just eliminated this random act of kindness from my daily non-negotiable list. But I think it's time to add it back. Because I want good soil, right? And I'm thinking you do too. And so if you are willing to take the challenge with me, I'll set up a private, Facebook, it doesn't be private, but I'll set up a Facebook group. And we can post in there the good deed, the random, and it could be small, right? It could be, I sent up a note to my teacher, whatever, or something like that. Or I called a friend I hadn't talked to and just said hi or whatever. I tried different things. I tried to make a list of like random acts of kindness, so I can just look at my cheat list and say, okay, let me check this off. It was the hardest thing to do. But Maya Angelou said it this way. She said, when you get, and when you learn, teach, that everything is circular. And so if there's no room in my life to do 1 random act of kindness every day, I got some revising that needs to happen. Phyllis says, I have been trying to do that with 1 person, and the wall is taller and longer than the one Trump wants to build. Yes. Cool. So I will set that up. What's the best way for you to find it? Well, I'm on Facebook, and it's tied to my personal email address, sherryjames@gmail.com. So yeah, this is a 30-day challenge. 30-day challenge, and maybe I'll post. I gotta dig it up. I don't know where that cheat sheet is. I was trying. I tried. I really tried, but I could not. I would get to the end of the day and I couldn't think of what to do. And after you've sent like 1 positive email, not a chain email, don't listen. Don't send me that email if you love Jesus. Don't trust me. I love Jesus. I don't even send an email to prove to you I love Jesus. But you know, like something positive to you know, to somebody. Like after you do that 1 day, 3 days, 5 days in a row, it's like it starts to feel old. So like maybe we'll post like a little cheat sheet that we'll pin at the top, and you can go through and look, pick some things off the list. So if you guys are willing to do that, I'm willing to take a 30-day challenge of random acts of kindness. And because what it'll do is it'll show you where your life is. Yes, thank you, Quintina. Please no chain messages. Do not. This is not a if you love Jesus. We all love Jesus. This is about cultivating good soil. And so it'll tell you where you are. And what I found was that I was at a place where I kept running out of time. And our purpose here is to be blessings to other people. That's our purpose. Our purpose is to express God, and God is in the blessing business, which means we're in the blessing business. And so we must develop ourselves in such a way where there's room in our lives to actively be a blessing to someone else. So, time to do something. Jesus charges us to be the light of the world. Light shines and glorifies God. What is one thing you can change today to be light, to be good soil? What is one thing that you can change today to be light, to be that good soil? That if you were asked the question again on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you see yourself as being the light of the world? That you would proudly say I'm a 10, not because you don't think that there is room for improvement, but because you have built a consciousness where there's room for you to give to others on a daily basis. Go back through McArthur's assessment of the various soils. Are you the footpath? Are you the rocky ground? Or are you the ground filled with thistles? And then make a plan to do something about it. And finally, leave a comment on the YouTube video. It really does help other people find this lesson. For some reason, the comments that you guys make in the chat don't end up on the video. So comments that you leave on the lesson actually help people find the video. It raises it in mistakes or whatever. So what was your biggest takeaway, and how can you use what you heard? What was your biggest takeaway, and how can you use what you heard? Cool. Constance says, does posting to my Facebook page positive stuff count? Constance, I'm sure that could count. But what if you sent it to somebody specific? Just throwing it out there. What if it went out to somebody specific? Joe says, I got an Irish blessing in the mail today. It was so beautiful. Yeah, I like that. You know, I had the idea, I bought a bunch of greeting cards. No, I bought a bunch, not greeting cards, but I bought a bunch of pretty note cards. I was going to write a little short note. I've got a bunch of besties around the country that, you know, from different places that I've lived. Those notes never got written. Simple. It's a stamp and 10 minutes to write a note to say, hey, I was thinking about you. You know, you were on my mind. I just wanted to let you know I was just thinking about you. Hope you're doing well. I'm telling you, it fell off. I have an app on my phone called 7 Weeks that I love. And I track all of my daily non-negotiables on there. And I track all of my daily non-negotiables on there. And the random act of kindness, I just had to keep saying, did not complete. And finally I was like, hey, this is like messing with my self-esteem. Let me take this off of here. But we're going to do it again. Thank you, Beverly. You're going to email me your mailing address. So you'll be one of my old. Beverly and I know each other from way back, like Freedom Theater days. 1990, 91, somewhere in there, 293, somewhere in there. Phyllis says, do unto others as you would like it done unto you. This has changed my life recently. Yes. Thank you guys. So Next week, I know I sure was, girl. I was 21, 22. That was years ago. Um, so yes, I will set that group up tonight. Next week, laws of attraction. Next week, I will be in Phoenix. So I'll be broadcasting from Phoenix, and excited about that. I'll be speaking at the International New Thought Alliance. Yay! In Phoenix, Arizona. So really excited. In case there are any thieves that are watching, don't worry, my brother will be home. So the house will be occupied. Victoria says, I'm going to tear down these walls I've built around myself and be more open to share the blessings he has bestowed on me. Go ahead, girl. And you sing too, Victoria. I think you said that in a previous thing. If you ever come through LA, stop by Up Church. We will kind of figure you out in the music program. So come on through LA. Have a blessed night, and I will see you guys next week.